11-year-old Jessie, a girl from Durham, North Carolina, carries with her a bag of dog food as she leaves home. The accompanying narration also tells us that her future actions will set in motion the most colossal mistake in the entire universe, as she feeds the dog food to a malevolent alien trapped in a hole within the woods. Apothecia, written by Taz Muir and illustrated by Shelby Cragg, first began its run on Tumblr in March of 2014 and ended in November of that same year. I probably discovered the comic in the following year or two, can't remember for sure, but to me, Apothecia is probably one of the most haunting webcomics I've ever had the pleasure to read, and one that managed to re-enter my thoughts time and time again, which is why I felt compelled to make this video. I've linked the comic itself in the description below, so please do give it a read if you're interested. It's a short read, only 98 pages, and well worth it in my opinion. There are instances of violence and body horror, so do consider yourself warned. With that said, let's begin. There are two pivotal characters in Apothecia: Jessie, the aforementioned girl from North Carolina, and this weird, sinister-looking alien blob. This isn't just any run-of-the-mill alien, however, but that of an intergalactic mass murderer. As the alien explains, murder and destruction to it is like a human using its legs to walk, or, even more essential, the very act of breathing. It's something ingrained into the alien's very nature, its very being. So, an alien of this nature would, of course, cause suffering and destruction wherever it goes, spreading its spores while committing its crimes all across space. It even had a gang of its own, contributing to these abhorrent crimes as well. This alien, however, isn't entirely unopposed within the depths of space, as another extraterrestrial organization by the name of the Interstellar Protectorate seeks its capture and potential execution, already aware of the alien's destructive capabilities. Up until this point, though, the alien has evaded capture and eventually ended up on Earth. Unlike other planets the alien made victims of, however, Earth appears too dissimilar in moistness and minerals for the alien to plant its spores and spread, thus essentially containing the sentient fungus to a shallow hole. And as this hole is but a walk away from Jessie's home, the girl eventually discovers the disturbing blob. The alien, while oftentimes strange in its delivery, possesses the ability to communicate in English and makes its terms clear to the girl: either free the alien or kill it. Jessie, however, isn't too keen to do either, and would rather fulfill the role of a prison guard than anything else, checking in on the alien and occasionally offering it stuff like dog food. Jessie, our story's protagonist, is an interesting character of her own. Described as rigid by her own elementary school, Jessie seems to mostly keep to herself. There's no evidence of her having other friends, and the one mentioned extracurricular she's in, her school's debate team, ended with her being kicked off by the club supervisor for seemingly no justifiable reason. That we know of, at least. Even her parents, whenever mentioned, don't seem especially present in her life. They both work all the time, and even when all together, they only allow Jessie 3 contributions at the dinner table before she's, quote, out, unquote. It really adds credence to Jessie's own claims that nobody likes or cares about what she has to say. Jessie even feels like she wouldn't be missed if she died, which is a depressing thought, especially coming from an 11-year-old. Lucky for us, however, we as the audience do get insight into Jessie's beliefs and how she sees the world. This belief, or theory as the narration puts it, goes like this. In the world, people did right and they did evil, and if you ignored evil, you were unrighteous. Jessie is someone that despised evil, hated wrongness. Early on, this is cited as a reason why Jessie refuses to kill the alien, as killing would be wrong and would rather defer to the Interstellar Protectorate to handle that task. In the same breath, however, knowing the alien's murderous nature prevents Jessie from releasing it, which ultimately sets up the story's main premise. A girl that refuses to make a choice set forth by the alien to either free it or kill it. And so, a good chunk of the story instead revolves around Jessie and the alien's conversations with each other on multiple occasions. We get insight on both characters, their motivations, views on life, and even instances of vulnerability. Of course, these conversations aren't enough to sway the established dynamic between Jessie and the alien. The alien will continue on insisting that Jessie makes a choice, while Jessie shuts down the alien at every occasion. This dynamic, however, wouldn't last forever. Jessie, noticing girls go missing in her area, begins to do research and ultimately figures out who's most likely responsible: someone driving a white van. After dressing in a more feminine manner and stocking up on some peculiar tools, Jessie heads out. Lo and behold, she discovers the white van and asks the man inside for a ride. The ensuing conversation makes it fairly apparent that the man has less than noble intentions with Jessie, asking her invasive questions and generally just exhibiting predatory behavior. Jessie then offers to show the man something cool, but he abruptly grabs her instead. And then Jessie stabs him. Dropping all pretenses, Jessie demands that the man admit to where the other kidnapped girls are. This goes nowhere, however, and Jessie ends up finishing the job, killing him with the smack of a wrench. The girl then takes the body to the alien for it to be devoured, comparing it to that of a last meal an inmate would be served before their execution. Shocked by this new development in Jessie, the alien questions why she went back on her moral of not killing. Ultimately, Jessie understood that nobody else was going to stop evil, preferring instead to witness it on the news than actually do anything about it. This chilling reality was what finally pushed Jessie to make her choice: to kill the alien. As Jessie leaves for the weed killer, the alien tells her to hurry. Turns out, it looks like Jessie wasn't fast enough, returning only to find the hole empty, and the alien gone. As Jessie spins around in panic, a signal tracking the alien from the Interstellar Protectorate is lost, and the alien soon finds itself overlooking a town with murderous intent. By not making a choice sooner, Jessie has set in motion a colossal mistake that would forever change the world. 19 years pass, and the next time we see Jessie is in what looks to be a military base. An unnamed lieutenant addresses Jessie with seniority, informing her that representatives from the Interstellar Protectorate will arrive in 24 hours to secure the handover of none other than the alien itself, once again in its captivity. Jessie, however, appears skeptical of the deal. While it might be an end to the Protectorate's surveillance and threat to attack Earth, that doesn't mean that the alien will be immediately executed. If anything, the Protectorate will probably want to keep it contained, experimenting but ultimately keeping it alive. And it seems that Eurasia would rather call the Protectorate's bluff of violence and have the alien incinerated instead. The lieutenant, a fellow North Carolinian, then opens up about his own experience with the alien, managing to escape it alongside his mom. The rest of his family, however, perished in this sporing, leading to a desire to see the alien die. From there, Jessie asks that she's taken to the isolation block. After being fitted with a protective suit and mask, Jessie gives the lieutenant her condolences on his past experiences and enters the isolation block, the alien awaiting her. It is here where we see the extent of the alien's destruction. 100,000 people, encompassing all of Chapel Hill, before disappearing into the Eno and North Atlantic. Among those casualties were her parents. Jessie, while lucky to be picked up by the National Guard and put in quarantine beyond the perimeter, doesn't feel especially good about herself, saying that both she and the alien should have died that day. The alien, however, in one of the comic's most chilling statements, counters that Jessie's death would have been meaningless, as nobody would care to weep. Jessie intends to leave, but the alien once again gives her a choice, to either free it, kill it, or even a third option, one born out of seeming desperation, to have Jessie stay with the alien, as it appears to have grown fond of her. Jessie, fully cognizant of her last mistake, rebukes this third option and instead attaches a bomb to the alien's containment chamber, finally leaving after making her choice. Giving a passing wave as she walks past the lieutenant, Jessie then proceeds to leave the military zone. With the press of a button on her phone, the bomb begins its self-detonation process, releasing neurotoxin within the alien's chamber and causing confusion and fear among the military personnel before the base itself finally explodes. Getting into a parked motorcycle nearby, Jessie drives off, hitting the highway while news of the destruction's fallout plays on the radio. Eventually, she gets off, jumps over a fence, and walks back to her old home. Entering her bedroom, she sits, puts her possessions down, takes off her shirt, and lies in bed. And something speaks to her. The alien, now spreading throughout Jessie's body, claims that it's hungry. The opening of her eyes revealed that of the alien, with the comic's final page simply being text from Jessie, stating that she'll get the dog food. I wouldn't necessarily call Apothecia the scariest or most disturbing thing I've ever read, but it certainly evokes a haunting feeling whenever I do read it. I can't quite parse into words why I feel that way. I just do. Maybe it has something to do with the bleakness of Jessie's character. Jessie never felt like she belonged, that she was valued or appreciated in the world. Her parents treated her like an afterthought, while her school deprived her of opportunities to express herself. In spite of all that, however, Jessie always wanted to do the right thing, even if it meant putting her own life at risk. So, to see this drive to do good backfire massively makes Jessie a fairly sympathetic character in my book. That said, I wouldn't say she's completely immune to criticism, as her actions in the finale were very questionable. I personally thought handing over the alien to the Protectorate was the much safer idea all around. So to see Jessie enter the isolation block, immediately take her protective helmet off in what's clearly an unsafe zone housing a spore-spreading alien, plant an explosive in there and later detonate it, killing who knows how many military personnel in the process, was just very unexpected decision-making. In the end, she paid the price for those decisions, as her carelessness got her infected, but I can't help but wonder, why? Why did she even do this? It's clear that the alien had a hand in manipulating her to make a choice, But even then, for her to go from leaving the alien to its fate with the Protectorate, to planting that explosive and destroying the facility in the span of a few pages felt out of character for Jessie, you know? It's hard to know what's going through her mind at the moment, and I know it's been 19 years and people change. But would Jessie really go as far as killing innocent people just to destroy the alien? Especially knowing her morality of right versus wrong? I suppose one could argue that destroying the intergalactic mass murderer for good justified the casualties of innocents within the base. But if that's the case, couldn't the neurotoxin do the job just fine? Was there even a need to blow up the base in the first place? A memorable and shocking scene for sure, but one that certainly raises more questions about Jessie's character than ever before. But who knows, maybe that was the point. Regardless of her later actions though, I still found Jessie to be a great protagonist overall. What happens to her at the end is nothing short of tragic, truly setting in stone her bleak and haunting existence from beginning to end. Concerning the alien, I honestly have no complaints. Such an amusing yet threatening antagonist. The way it played off Jessie's morality with its own views was very engaging to read. How the alien was written also deserved massive props. Has really nailed the characterization here. And of course, goes without saying, but Shelby's illustration of the alien was perfect. So sinister and unnerving to look at, but also very expressive. So yeah, great job. I did have a question while reading, however. How did the alien escape the hole despite not being able to before? Well, lucky me, someone on TV Tropes had the same question and posted it on the comics Head Scratchers page. Someone else gave their response, and I'd say I'm pretty satisfied with their reasoning. Feel free to give the video a pause if you'd like to read this explanation. Overall, I found Apothecia to be an exceptional read. I didn't cover every single nuance or piece of dialogue, so I still recommend giving it a read if you haven't already. Perhaps you may feel different, but for me at least, the comic is a haunting experience unlike any other.